Assalamu alaikum. I am Mariyam Ahmed from 4B AVM. The topic for my video is the benefits of SAF in aviation. Sustainable aviation fuels are described as aviation fuels made from renewable resources or waste that satisfy sustainability standards. Cooking oil and other waste oils from plants or animals are some examples of typical feedstocks, as are solid waste such as food scraps that would otherwise end up in landfills or burned. Other potential sources include energy crops like fast-growing plants and algae, as well as forestry waste such as waste wood. Aviation biofuel is a type of SAF that is used to power aircraft. Depending on the type of biomass used, biofuels might reduce CO2 emissions by 20 to 98% when compared with traditional jet fuel. Sustainable biofuels are produced without the use of food crops, prime farmland, or fresh water. This means that food crops, prime agricultural land, natural forests, or fresh water are not in competition with sustainable biofuels. Aviation accounts for about 2.5% of global CO2 emissions. As more CO2 is released into the atmosphere, it contributes to global warming and also climate change. Even though the aviation sector has improved its fuel efficiency, overall emissions have gone up along with the growth in air travel. Aviation emissions grew by 70% by 2020 compared to 2005, and by 2050, they may have increased by 300%. Currently, fuels based on kerosene are used for gas turbine powered aircraft. That gasoline is used in piston engine aircraft, and jet fuel is utilized in diesel powered aircraft. Jet airliners contribute to climate change by emitting carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxides, contrails, and particulates. It's a very popular misconception that aviation emissions only come from aircraft. The emission from airport building and aircraft production, as well as those produced by ground transportation to and from the airport, all contribute to the aviation sector's greenhouse gas emissions. So, aviation is looking at next generation technologies like hydrogen and electric powered aircraft in an effort to become more sustainable, but they all call for radical changes that won't happen for many years. Because SAF is more environmentally responsible than conventional jet fuel, aviation companies must utilize it. The main issue with SAF is figuring out how to scale production such that there is enough SAF for airlines to use. For example, it is theoretically possible to produce palm oil ethically and use it to create SAF, but when demand increases due to increased consumption, some unethical producers are compelled to damage natural ecosystems in order to expand their farms. A few plantations have oppressive working conditions on top of deforestation, which is terrible for biodiversity and natural environments. When considering the overall sustainability of biofuels, these aspects must be taken into account as well. In order to ensure that they would have enough SAF to meet their needs in the upcoming years, airlines appear to have chosen a very proactive strategy. Carriers are increasing the possible amount of fuel they would have by collaborating with various refiners, fuel makers, and startups. For example, Sustainable Aviation Fuel Grand Challenge in the US is a plan to scale up the new technology to create SAF in large numbers for commercial use. The strategy intends to create 3 billion gallons of SAF annually by 2030 and 35 billion gallons by 2050. The strategy's ultimate goal is to completely decarbonize the aviation sector by 2050. As a transitional fuel between the gas guzzling aircrafts of today and the cutting edge electric and hydrogen powered ones of the future, sustainable aviation fuels offer a workable alternative in decreasing emissions. Due to its chemical similarity to fossil jet fuel, SAF can be utilized as a drop in replacement because it requires no extra investment in the already existing fueling, and jet engine infrastructure because it is completely compatible with them. By reducing the amount of greenhouse gas emissions derived from fossil fuels that are released into the environment, substituting renewable raw materials for crude oil in the production of fuels would aid in the battle against climate change. SAF can also improve the quality of air and water on Earth by reducing the emissions of the main pollutants that endanger both ecosystems and human health, which are sulfur oxides and nitrogen oxides. The most environmental advantages are offered by the renewable resources used as SAF sources. Moreover, several additional biomass crops that are used to make SAF can aid in reducing soil erosion and enhancing biodiversity. Despite being regarded as a key strategy for reducing carbon emissions, SAF is typically much more expensive than regular jet fuel. Airlines have subsequently voiced their concerns about the cost of SAF, particularly given that they must achieve carbon reduction commitments. The cost of jet fuel per gallon is around $4.15 on a global scale, comparing that to the estimated $8.67 average cost of a gallon of SAF in the United States. In fact, according to IATA, SAF generally costs 2 to 4 times more than any aviation fuel in all of its forms. The cost of acquiring waste materials and recycling them really is higher, hence, the process will be more efficient and costs will go down as production methods are created and scaled up. With that, we have reached the end of my video. Thank you for watching.